seen it.
Greetings, virtual wanderers, Aeons here. If you're into the Lord of the Rings lore, this might be the game for you. This time we're here to explore the land of Middle-earth, Shadow of War, a continuation of the Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. This third-person action RPG invites players to step back into the boots of Talion, a Gondorian ranger bound to the wraith Celebrimbor, packed with hack-and-slash combat against orcs, conquering regions as they forge a new power to challenge the Dark Lord's dominion. Developed by Monolith Productions and published by Warner Bros. In 2017 on PC and 8th gen consoles, Shadow of War expands its predecessor's mechanics in a way that will surprise you. So are you ready to dominate Middle-earth? Let's dive into it. First up for Shadow of War is their side activities. However, you might be surprised that the game does things a little differently when it comes to side activities. You have what the game calls the Nemesis System. You'll be spending most of your time here because in the system you'll be indulging in activities such as eliminating orc captains, recruiting them, commanding them to fight against other orc captains, and basically do anything orc related. Do note that you can get some pretty sweet gear from killing orc captains though, so you'll have to make a choice whether to recruit them or end them. You'll also have a variety of actual side quests that are under the Nemesis system, which mostly involves you engaging with the leader of the outpost by drawing them out.
Considering running? That might work. Till I find you again!
It doesn't stop there though. You also have orc captain fight pits and tribal showdowns between you and orc captains. You also have a separate set of side quests, putting you in the shoes of Celebrimbor, reliving his past battles. These Shadows of the Past side quests give you multiple challenges with one main objective to follow. You do all this while your trusty friend tells you his tragic past. Just don't expect any cutscenes during these side quests, because it has more of a challenge type of activity. Next up are fortress sieges and defenses. Although this activity is needed to complete the main storyline at first, you can freely indulge yourself in defending your fortress or be at the other end, the attacking end. It's exactly what it sounds like. The game puts your orc army to the test by putting it up against an opposing orc army. You'll have to pick the captains you want as your main army, and extra troops you want supporting your trusty captains. Lastly, you have the game's collectibles. You have a few types of collectibles in the game. You can first spot the collectible locations by purifying the Hadir towers. After that, it's just a matter of collecting them. Now the biggest question is, are they worth it? The answer is, they could be. Most of the collectible types, like the artifacts and memories, reward you with a skill point. On the other hand, collecting Ithildin fragments does reward you with unique gear after you solve the puzzle with them. Overall, Shadow of War definitely gives you just enough side activities than one might expect. When you step into the open world of Shadow of War, you're locked in one region, Minas Ithil, but you'll have 5 major regions in total to roam and explore as the story unfolds. That is, without the extra one region from the DLC. The world does feel segmented, as you'll probably spend a decent equal amount of time in each of them attempting to conquer the region and hopping to other regions every now and then. On the topic of hopping to other regions, when you're bored of trying to conquer the region you're in, you can only jump to another region by fast traveling there, putting you through a loading screen, so there's no end of the map approach to going between regions, even when the two regions are side by side, which adds to the feeling of the world being even less connected. On top of that, one region like Minas Ithil is actually just a small area within a bigger region, with the side note that you can access the other areas in the bigger regions. However, when it comes to the regions themselves, you've got a seamless open world ahead of you, one that is just big enough to explore. The only limitation here is that some of the regions seems to have more than a noticeable amount of invisible walls when it comes to hills and cliffs, both at the edge of the region and within the region itself, heavily decreasing the sense of openness in the region. To sum up, it is clear that the area of freedom in Shadow of War is very limited, hindering the sense of openness in the world. Speaking of regions, when it comes to the liveliness of each of them, they do somewhat of a good job. Each region has a different atmosphere from the next, with distinct colors and surroundings to differentiate one from another. Each region also has just enough detail to match the landscape, like the nature-filled jungles in one of the regions called Nirn. One region might give you a lush green jungle landscape, the next, dark eerie wasteland that reeks of death. The soundtrack and ambient sounds, however, are nothing special, at least nothing that makes you notice a big difference. But what about the NPCs filling up each of these regions? Well, you only have one region that is filled with friendly NPCs, and a lot of them at that. There'll be troops training on one side of the region, and then there'll be nobles having a chat with each other on the other side, but this quickly changes later on in the story. However, even then, these NPCs are more like accessories. They don't react to you whatsoever, unless you run through them. So although you can see what it seems like an endless amount of NPCs, all of them having a pretty static routine too, they don't seem believable at all. Also, don't expect any exclamation marks from NPCs in this game, because there aren't any. You do also have fortresses that you conquer throughout your playtime, but these areas only have orcs that you've recruited, so they don't count. Outside of that, you can expect that there aren't any NPCs, only enemies await. You've also got the bare minimum when it comes to wildlife, so the only creatures roaming the wild are the ones that are going to make your life miserable. In other words, they will attack you. These are mostly tiger-like creatures called caragors, and also the very occasional grog in the more deeper parts of the world. But keep an eye out, cause those guys are a bit more of a challenge to take out. Overall, the game only offers a hint of liveliness, and that is just simply far from enough. On to customizations. First on the list is gear. You can obtain different kinds of gear through Orc Captain drops, ranging from common to legendary rarity. You might have guessed it already, but you have 3 types of weapons and 3 types of armor to equip in the game. Just like any RPG out there, each gear has their own stats and unique boosts that come with it. You do have to complete a challenge to either unlock the boost or upgrade the gear, depending on the rarity. Plus, you've got the set bonus boosts for the legendary gear, so that legendary rarity piece of gear is definitely worth collecting. On top of the gear, you can equip gems that give even more extra boosts to each piece of gear you have. Each gem is also upgradable, so you can keep leveling up your stats until you have the best gems. You can also pick from a very limited choice of skins to change your character's appearance. But honestly, these skins are practically just like switching characters altogether, so it lacks a huge factor of customizability. However, the option is there if you want to play as another race or sex. And that's about it for the customization, or so I'd like to say. Although the main character's skill system in Shadow of War won't be included, the sub-skills for each skill still counts as a customization option. You'll be able to unlock all of the skills and sub-skills in the skill system, but you still have to make the choice on which sub-skill you want to have in your sub-skill arsenal for each skill, so you still have that little touch of personalization. To close it off, the customization options Shadow of War has is definitely more than it seems on the surface, giving it a pass.
You think you can come into our camp and slaughter us like pigs? Slaughter us and not have it end this way? Think again.
Moving on, does Shadow of War keep you engaged at all? The answer to that is kind of. At first, you'll be addicted to slaughtering orcs because the combat mechanics are just satisfying, but within time, you'll realize that you can do so much more, like gathering intel about orc captains by interrogating low-rank orcs, hunting them down, and making a choice of whether to kill, shame them to decrease their level, or recruit them. You can even assign one as your bodyguard, making you crave for the perfect orc bodyguard. However, this all changes late game. The game becomes a bit of a grind fest. Quick hint, it involves the fortress sieges and defenses we mentioned before. While it is fun to build your orc army and play around with the upgrades and abilities you can give to your recruited orc captains, these fortress related activities can become repetitive to most, as you'll have to do them over and over again. On top of that, it can be considered as a means to extend playtime rather than to add value to the gameplay. The point is, endgame engagement is something the game had going well at the start, but slightly fell off towards the end. Since the start of this review, you can probably already guess that what makes this game unique is its one-of-a-kind Nemesis system, which in fact Warner Brothers did patent until 2036, offering mechanics that other games simply cannot replicate yet. The game creates new and unique scenarios each time you encounter an Orc Captain. This means each Orc Captain has their own unique traits, whether it's physical or stats wise. And it doesn't end there either. You'll find out that each Orc Captain has their own unique voices and behaviors too when you cross swords with them. They'll even remember you and hold a grudge against you if they manage to survive the battle against you.
You cleaved me in two. Any other orc would have died, but I survived.
This is what sets the Nemesis system apart from other open-world RPG games. Well, except for its predecessor, Shadow of Mordor. You'll always have unique encounters with Orc Captains every single time. This means each playthrough of the game will have different, unscripted stories that plays out differently when it comes to Orc Captains. All in all, it's clear that the Nemesis system offers unique features that you won't find in any other game.
The Uruks love spectacle. If we can distract them in the arena, we can sneak into their camp and find my father. Can I ask this of you?
Give them a show to remember. Try not to kill him too quickly.
To end our journey in Middle-earth, Shadow of War brings you a great extension into the Lord of the Rings universe, while bringing you open-world mechanics on top of it. You'll be busy indulging in some of the addicting side activities and experimenting with its adequate amount of customization options. Let's also not forget that the game rewards you with its own extensive Nemesis system, providing you with unique scenarios and engagement that almost stretches until the end. However, the game does have a few aspects where it completely falls flat as well, whether it is little freedom within the world or a world that is only full of enemies. At the end of the day, you'll have to put a little bit more thought to choosing this one as your next open world game, receiving a C tier from us.